They truly love you. But one thing still makes them hesitate: don't scroll. If this message has found you today, it may not be a coincidence. There is someone whose heart has been silently carrying your name for much longer than you realize. They truly love you. Their feelings are not temporary, they are not based on curiosity, and they are not something that disappears overnight. Every time they try to convince themselves that they should move on, something always pulls them back toward you. Every memory, every small reminder, every unexpected thought somehow leads them back to your energy. But despite all of this love, despite everything their heart is trying to tell them, there is still one powerful thing standing in their way. It is not because they don't care. It is not because you are not enough. And it is certainly not because destiny has forgotten about your connection. The hesitation comes from a place much deeper than you can imagine. They have been hurt before. They have trusted the wrong people before. They have opened their heart only to watch it break into pieces, and now every time they think about taking another step toward you, that old fear whispers into their mind. It tells them to be careful. It tells them not to become vulnerable again. It reminds them of every disappointment they have survived. But what they don't realize is that you are not the person who caused those wounds. You are the person who has the power to heal them. Still, healing requires courage, and courage is exactly what they are struggling to find. Late at night, when everything becomes quiet and no one is watching, they replay conversations with you inside their mind. They imagine different futures. They wonder what life would look like if they finally stopped running from their feelings. Sometimes they smile without realizing it because your presence fills their heart with a peace they cannot explain. Other times they become afraid because peace feels unfamiliar after living with pain for so long. They ask themselves difficult questions. What if I lose them? What if I'm not enough? What if they discover my flaws? What if I ruin everything before it even begins? These silent questions have become the chains keeping them from expressing everything they truly feel. But here's what they don't know. Love does not require perfection. Love only asks for honesty. The universe has been trying to teach them this lesson through repeated signs. They keep noticing your birthday numbers, your initials, strange coincidences, meaningful dreams, and unexpected reminders that refuse to disappear. Even when they try to distract themselves, something always brings your energy back into their day. They have begun realizing that these aren't random events. These are gentle whispers encouraging them to stop fighting what their soul already knows. There have been moments when they almost reached out. Their fingers hovered over the message button. They typed words and erased them. They imagined hearing your voice again. They wanted to tell you everything that has been hidden inside their heart, but at the last second fear convinced them to stay silent once again. And after putting the phone down, they felt even more empty because silence has never brought them peace. Every day they carry feelings they pretend not to have. Around other people they laugh, they smile, they continue with their responsibilities, but deep inside there is an emptiness that only your connection seems capable of filling. The truth is that your absence has become louder than any conversation they have with anyone else. Even when surrounded by people, they still feel like something important is missing. That missing piece is not success. It is not money. It is not recognition. It is the emotional safety they experience whenever they think about you. They remember your kindness. They remember the way your energy made them feel accepted without needing to pretend. That feeling has become unforgettable. Yet hesitation continues to hold them back because they fear that timing has already slipped away. They wonder if they waited too long. They wonder if you have already given up on them. They wonder if someone else has entered your heart. These thoughts create invisible walls inside their mind, making every step forward seem harder than it actually is. But destiny often works differently than fear expects. Sometimes what appears delayed is actually being prepared. Sometimes two hearts must learn separate lessons before they are finally ready to meet without repeating old mistakes. Right now your soulmate is standing between two different voices. One voice belongs to fear. The other belongs to love. Fear tells them to protect themselves. Love tells them to finally be honest. Fear reminds them of heartbreak. Love reminds them of you. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Love quietly whispers about everything that could finally go right. Every single day these two voices compete inside them, and the battle has become exhausting. The universe has noticed this struggle. That is why unexpected changes have started happening in their life. Old chapters are closing. Toxic connections are fading away. Situations that once distracted them are losing their importance because their soul is slowly being redirected toward what truly matters. They may not understand why everything feels different lately, but deep inside they know they cannot continue pretending forever. There comes a moment when silence becomes heavier than confession. That moment is getting closer than they realize. You may have been questioning whether this connection is real. You may have wondered if they ever think about you anymore. You may have asked the universe for one clear sign. If these words reached you today, perhaps this is the reassurance your heart has been searching for. Their love has never disappeared. It simply became trapped behind fear, uncertainty, and emotional scars that were never caused by you. The hesitation is real, but so is the love. And love has a strange way of becoming stronger every time people try to ignore it. The more they avoid these feelings, the more impossible they become to escape. Even in dreams your presence appears. Even in ordinary moments your memory quietly enters their thoughts. They have started noticing that every path they choose somehow circles back to you again. That realization both comforts and terrifies them because it means this connection cannot simply be forgotten. It must eventually be faced. Soon they will understand that waiting for perfect certainty is impossible. There will never be a moment without risk. There will never be a guarantee against heartbreak. But there can be a guarantee against regret if they finally choose honesty over fear. Their heart is already leaning toward you. Their soul has already made its decision. Only their mind continues resisting. And minds eventually grow tired of fighting what hearts have already accepted. So if you have been wondering why things feel delayed, remember this. Delay does not always mean denial. Sometimes it simply means someone is gathering the courage they have never needed more than they need it now. Your soulmate is much closer to choosing love than they were yesterday. Every lesson, every disappointment, every silent night has been preparing them for one simple truth. The one thing making them hesitate is not stronger than the love they feel for you. Fear may delay destiny, but it cannot destroy what the universe has written. When the right moment arrives, they will finally understand that losing the chance to love you would hurt far more than facing the fear that has kept them silent for so long. And when that realization becomes impossible to ignore, the silence between you will begin to break, one honest step at a time, because true love always finds the courage to speak before the story is over. They have been carrying this emotional weight for so long that even they no longer remember what life felt like before meeting your energy. Every morning they wake up with responsibilities, distractions, and countless things demanding their attention, yet somehow your memory quietly slips into their thoughts before the day has even begun. It happens in the smallest moments. A familiar song reminds them of you. A place they once visited suddenly feels connected to your presence. A random conversation makes them think of the words they never had the courage to say. They tell themselves these are only coincidences, but deep inside they know their soul is refusing to let go. The truth is, they are no longer fighting against you, they are fighting against themselves. They have spent so much time building emotional walls that now they struggle to remember how to open the door. They fear that if they finally reveal everything they have hidden inside, they might lose control of the image they have carefully created. They have always wanted to appear strong, independent, and unaffected, yet every heartbeat proves otherwise. Behind every smile they show the world is someone silently hoping that destiny has not given up on this connection. They wonder if you still think about them. They wonder if you ever felt the same invisible pull that they feel every single day. Sometimes they imagine you smiling, laughing, and living your life, and strangely that thought makes them both happy and afraid. Happy because they genuinely want your happiness, but afraid because they worry they may no longer have a place in your future. That fear keeps returning again and again, convincing them to remain silent just a little longer. But silence has never answered their questions. It has only made their heart louder. Every day they delay, their feelings become more difficult to ignore. They have tried replacing these emotions with work, hobbies, travel, conversations, and even meeting new people, yet every comparison quietly leads back to you. No one carries the same energy. No one creates the same sense of peace. No one makes their heart feel understood the way your presence does. This realization has become impossible to escape. They now understand that what they feel is not simple attraction. It is a connection that continues growing even in distance. There have been nights when they looked at the sky and wondered whether you were looking at the same moon. It sounds simple, but to them it became one of the few moments where distance no longer felt impossible. They imagined your dreams, your hopes, your future, and somewhere inside those quiet thoughts they began wishing they could become part of your story instead of merely watching from afar. Yet another voice always interrupted that dream, reminding them of old disappointments, old betrayals, and old mistakes. Their past continues trying to convince them that history will repeat itself, even though your soul has never given them a reason to believe that. This is the greatest battle they face. It is not between you and someone else. It is not between love and indifference. It is between hope and fear. Hope keeps telling them to move forward. Fear keeps demanding another day of waiting. But every day they wait, the universe gently places another reminder in front of them. Repeating numbers appear unexpectedly. Meaningful dreams leave them awake before sunrise. They hear songs with lyrics that describe exactly what they have been hiding. They meet strangers who unknowingly speak words their heart desperately needed to hear. These moments are becoming too frequent to dismiss. Slowly they are beginning to realize that perhaps destiny has been speaking all along. They simply refuse to listen because listening would require action. Action means vulnerability. Vulnerability means risking rejection. Yet what they fail to see is that avoiding rejection has also meant avoiding the possibility of receiving the love they have secretly desired. Their soul is becoming tired of running. Every version of the future they imagine eventually includes one unavoidable question: what if I had simply told them the truth? That single question follows them everywhere. It appears during quiet evenings, long drives, restless nights, and peaceful mornings. It refuses to disappear because some questions are planted by destiny itself. They are meant to push a person toward courage. You may not realize it, but your own growth has also been part of this journey. The universe has been preparing you just as carefully. You have learned patience when everything inside you wanted immediate answers. You have learned strength after emotional uncertainty. You have learned to value yourself even during moments when you questioned your worth. None of those lessons were wasted. They were shaping both hearts separately so they could eventually meet with greater wisdom than before. Sometimes separation is not punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes two souls need time apart so that fear loses its control before love finally arrives. Your soulmate is beginning to understand this lesson. They no longer blame circumstances as much as they once did. They have started recognizing that the greatest obstacle has always been the fear living inside them. Once they accept that truth, everything else begins changing. The walls become thinner. The excuses become weaker. The silence becomes heavier. And the desire to finally speak becomes impossible to ignore. There will come a day when they realize they would rather risk hearing no than spend the rest of their life wondering, what if? That day is approaching faster than they expect. Every heartbeat is quietly moving them toward a decision they can no longer postpone. Love has been patient with them, but love also asks for courage. They are finally beginning to understand that courage does not mean being fearless. It means moving forward despite fear. That realization changes everything. The person who once avoided difficult emotions will slowly become the person willing to face them. The one who kept deleting messages will eventually press send. The one who remains silent will discover that honesty feels lighter than pretending. When that moment arrives, they will not come to you because someone forced them. They will come because their own heart finally becomes stronger than every doubt they carried. And when they look back on this long season of hesitation, they will realize that the one thing keeping them away was never your worth, it was their fear of believing they deserved a love as genuine as yours. Once that illusion breaks, the path between your hearts will become much clearer. Destiny has never stopped working behind the scenes, even during the quiet moments that seemed empty. Every delay, every lesson, every unanswered question has been preparing the exact moment when fear finally steps aside and love is given the chance to speak. the longer they try to ignore these emotions, the louder their heart becomes. There was a time when they believed silence would protect them, that keeping everything hidden would somehow keep them safe from disappointment. But now they are discovering that silence has its own kind of pain. Every word left unspoken has become a weight they carry everywhere. Every feeling they refuse to express returns stronger the next day, reminding them that real love cannot simply be locked away forever. They have reached a point where pretending feels more exhausting than telling the truth. Even when they are surrounded by people, laughing at conversations and smiling on the outside, there is always a quiet part of their heart searching for you. They wonder how you are doing. They wonder if you are happy. They wonder if you still believe that this connection is real. Sometimes they imagine what they would say if they suddenly had the chance to stand in front of you with no fear, no pride, and no walls. In those imagined moments they don't speak about perfect words or grand promises. They simply want to tell you that loving you has changed something inside them forever. Before they met your energy, they believed love was complicated, unpredictable, and temporary. But you made them realize that true love doesn't disappear just because life becomes difficult. It waits. It grows quietly. It survives distance, silence, and uncertainty. That realization has become impossible for them to ignore. Yet there is still one final chain holding them back, the fear that they may have already waited too long. They ask themselves if destiny still has room for them. They wonder whether your heart has already chosen another direction. They worry that their silence may have hurt you more than they ever intended. Those thoughts visit them late at night when the world is quiet and distractions disappear. It is during those lonely hours that they finally admit something they rarely admit even to themselves: they miss you more than they know how to explain. Not just your words, but your presence. Not just your conversations, but the feeling of being understood without needing to hide who they truly are. That feeling has become rare in their life, and now they understand how precious it really was. The universe has been patiently guiding them toward this realization through countless small moments. They keep noticing signs that point back to you. A name they weren't expecting to hear. A memory that suddenly returns without warning. A dream so vivid it feels more real than reality itself. Each sign gently reminds them that some connections are written by something greater than coincidence. They have tried to dismiss these moments, but the signs keep returning because the lesson has not yet been fully learned. The lesson is simple: fear may delay love, but it cannot erase it. Every day they resist, their soul becomes more restless. They feel a growing desire to stop hiding and finally choose honesty over comfort. That choice is becoming closer with every passing sunrise. Deep inside, they already know what they want. They want peace. They want clarity. Most of all, they want the chance to love without allowing yesterday's pain to control tomorrow's happiness. They are beginning to understand that the people who hurt them in the past are not the people standing before them now. You are different. Your energy feels different. Your heart speaks a different language, one of patience, understanding, and genuine care. Slowly, this truth is melting the fear they once believed would never leave. The walls around their heart are beginning to crack, and through those cracks, light is entering. It is the light of hope, the light of possibility, and the quiet belief that maybe this love deserves a chance after all. They no longer want to spend years wondering what could have happened if only they had been brave enough. They are starting to realize that regret is far heavier than rejection. Rejection may hurt for a moment, but regret can stay for a lifetime. That thought has become impossible for them to escape. Every time they imagine a future without ever telling you how they truly feel, something inside them breaks a little more. Their soul refuses to accept a life built on unanswered questions. They know they cannot continue pretending forever. The universe has brought them to a crossroads where only one decision remains. Continue hiding, or finally step forward. Although fear still whispers, its voice is no longer as powerful as it once was. Love has grown stronger. Hope has become louder. Their heart has become braver. They are beginning to understand that destiny often rewards those who dare to trust it. Even if the path ahead feels uncertain, they know that walking toward love is better than standing still in fear. And when that moment finally arrives, when they gather every piece of courage they have been searching for, they will no longer speak from fear or confusion. They will speak from truth. They will tell you that through every season of silence, every unanswered question, every sleepless night, and every hidden emotion, one thing never changed: their love for you. It remained constant, quietly growing beneath the surface, waiting for the day when fear would finally lose its grip. That day is closer than either of you realize. The story between your hearts is not ending in silence. It is moving toward a moment of honesty, healing, and a love that has survived every test placed before it. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin not with perfect timing, but with imperfect people who finally decide that love is worth the risk. And your soulmate is slowly becoming that person. Every heartbeat, every lesson, and every sign has been leading them to one unforgettable decision: to stop hesitating, to stop running, and to finally choose the love they have carried for you all along. They can feel that something inside them is changing in a way they have never experienced before. The fear that once controlled every decision is no longer as powerful because love has quietly become stronger than doubt. For so long they believed they had to protect themselves from disappointment, but now they understand that protecting themselves also meant protecting themselves from happiness. They have finally begun to see that the greatest risk was never loving you, it was allowing fear to steal the future their heart has always dreamed about. Every lesson they have lived through, every tear they have hidden, every heartbreak they have survived has slowly prepared them for this exact moment. They now realize that the universe was never trying to punish them by making them wait. It was teaching them the difference between temporary emotions and lasting love. Temporary emotions disappear when life becomes difficult. Lasting love grows stronger through distance, silence, and time. That is exactly what has happened inside their heart. Their feelings for you did not fade when communication became difficult. They did not disappear when uncertainty entered the picture. Instead, every obstacle revealed how real this connection truly is. They have reached the point where they can no longer lie to themselves. Every attempt to move on only brought them back to the same realization: you are still the person their heart searches for without even trying. They have imagined countless versions of the future, but the only future that ever brings genuine peace is the one where they stop hiding and finally allow love to lead instead of fear. They understand now that perfection was never required. They don't need perfect words, perfect timing, or perfect circumstances. They only need honesty. They only need the courage to tell you what has been living inside their heart all this time. They have started letting go of the belief that they must control every outcome. Instead, they are beginning to trust that if this connection has survived every challenge placed before it, then perhaps it was always meant to survive. The universe has been gently removing the people, situations, and distractions that kept them from seeing the truth. What once seemed important no longer holds the same value because their heart has discovered something far more meaningful. Every day they wake up with a little more clarity than the day before. Every night they fall asleep realizing that pretending has become impossible. They no longer want to wonder what could have been. They no longer want fear to write the ending of a story that love has spent so long creating. They want to become the person who chooses courage even while their hands are shaking. They want to become the person who finally believes they deserve the kind of love they have spent their entire life searching for. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this journey is that you have also changed. You have become stronger, wiser, more patient, and more aware of your own worth. You are no longer waiting from a place of desperation but from a place of faith. Whether you realized it or not, your own healing has prepared you for the moment when this connection finally begins to move forward. Nothing that happened was meaningless. Every delay carried a lesson. Every silence carried growth. Every unanswered question was quietly shaping both hearts into people capable of loving each other more deeply than ever before. Soon your soulmate will understand that the only thing standing between them and the happiness they desire has been the fear they continued feeding. Once they stop feeding that fear, it will lose its power completely. Love will finally have room to breathe. They will stop looking for signs that tell them to stay away and start noticing all the signs that have been guiding them toward you from the very beginning. Their heart has already made its choice. Their soul has already recognized yours. Only the final step remains. When that step is taken, everything that once felt confusing will suddenly make sense. The waiting will no longer feel wasted. The tears will no longer feel meaningless. The distance will no longer feel permanent because every difficult chapter will reveal itself as preparation for the chapter that follows. One day they will look into your eyes and realize that every fear they carried was only a shadow, while the love standing before them was real all along. They will wish they had trusted their hearts sooner, but they will also be grateful that destiny never allowed this connection to disappear completely. Sometimes true love arrives after both people become the versions of themselves they were always meant to be. That is why this story has taken time. Not because love was absent, but because growth was necessary. Now the season of fear is coming to an end, and the season of truth is quietly beginning. Your soulmate is closer than ever to choosing honesty over hesitation, faith over doubt, and love over fear. And when they finally speak, their words will not come from confusion, they will come from certainty. They will finally admit that through every challenge, every delay, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, and every silent tear, there has only ever been one person their heart refused to forget. That person is you. If this message resonates with your heart, receive it with hope but also with wisdom. No one can know the future with certainty, and real relationships are built through honest communication, mutual respect, and shared choices. Let this message remind you to keep your heart open, continue growing, and trust that the right connection will be strengthened by truth rather than fear. Sometimes the most beautiful endings are not the ones that arrive the fastest, but the ones that arrive after both hearts have learned how to truly love. The end.